2026年8月1日、ロサンゼルス、ドジャースはワールドシリーズ3連覇というチームの偉大な目標を確実に達成するため、メジャーリーグの移籍市場全体を根底から激しく揺るがすほどの歴史的で超大型なトレードを正式に発表することになりました。ドジャースはデトロイト、タイガースとの間で極めて重要な交渉を行い、圧倒的な実力を持つスーパースターの左腕投手であるタリック、スクーバル選手をトレードで獲得するという、ファンにとって非常に驚くべき大きな決断を下したのです。その非常に大きな代償として、驚異的なスピードとパワーを併せ持つ有望株のザイヤー、ホープ選手、100マイルの強し速球を投げるリバー、ライアン投手、そして期待の若手ブレイディ、スミス投手という3人の若き才能をタイガースへ放出しました。獲得したスクーバル投手は2024年と2025年にサイ・ヤング賞を連続で受賞しており、ペドロ、マルティネス氏以来となるアメリカン、リーグでの連続受賞という歴史的な偉業を成し遂げた、まさに球界を代表する最強のピッチャーとして君臨しています。今シーズンも移籍前までに防御率に79、驚異の WHIP0、91を記録しており、5月に行われた左肘の関節鏡手術からわずか38日でマウンドへ復帰し、100マイル近い速球を投げるという本当に信じられないような超人的な回復力を見せました。彼の加入により、ロサンゼルス、ドジャースはメジャーリーグの長い歴史において、2年連続 MVP の大谷翔平選手と2年連続サイ・ヤング賞のスクーバル投手が同じチームで同時にプレーするという、前代未聞の最強で無敵な布陣を完成させたのです。それでは、タリック、スクーバル選手がドジャース移籍について語ったコメントを一緒に見ていきましょう。
Yeah, the walk to the clubhouse was very normal. I mean, that's not the walk. I normally go in and do some stuff, move around a little bit and get some treatment. But yeah, there was a time where I got a phone call and I was like, I know what this is. So didn't feel like it was the right time to go back out there.
For sure. What's your initial reaction to this?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. This isn't going into the season. This isn't what I planned on, doing. But circumstances change, situations change, and I'm very appreciative of everything the Tigers have done for me. Just drafted me in 2018. Giving a kid a chance out of a small school, and giving me every resource to use. Everything's always been at my disposal. Whatever I want, they've always had answers or planned for me. So, I feel like I've experienced a lot and kind of gone through the ups and downs and gone through a lot of failure early in my career, and this club never stopped believing in me, kept rolling me back out there every fifth day when I probably didn't deserve to be. So that's something that I'll never take for granted, and the fans' support of me and my family everywhere I go. I've always truly appreciated that, and it means a lot more than they probably get credit for. At this time, I'm excited to be a Dodger. I'm excited to get down there and meet all those guys and, chase 3 championships in a row. It's hard to do, so I'm excited to be a part of that. But yeah, it's a lot of different emotions. Definitely kind of a roller coaster a little bit. Yeah, very tough. All off season, that was, ever since that 24 Game 5, the failure that I experienced on the mound. I've used that as fuel to try and bring a World Series to the city of Detroit. I truly did. And that whole offseason, I was never been more motivated. And then, go in and we lose Game 5 again. And, that failure kind of sparks some more motivation, and just to dig deeper and see how good you can truly be. And, the goal was always to win a World Series, for the city, for the organization. That took a chance on me. So, it's tough. I love all those guys in there. They're some of my best friends, and it'll be tough for sure. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited. They got a good group. You hear everything across the way. I'm excited though.
山本由伸もタリック、スクーバルがドジャースに加入するという知らせに驚きを隠せませんでした。そして、2人でマウンドに立ち、チームに大きく貢献できることを楽しみにしていると語りました。
それは
いいですか、今やって。よろしくお願いします。
お願いします。
今日、勝ち星つかなかったんですけども、8イニング投げて、仕上がりにグラウンドの成長を振り返って、
すごい調子自体はやっぱりすごく良かったですし、自信持って、どんどん投げていきました。で初回から、スプリットを、ちょうど、こうバッターの得意のゾーンに抜けてしまって、それを一発、打たれたところと、2本目は、一応ボール球まで抜けてたのは抜けてたんですけど、失投は失投かなっていうので、すごく悔しく思いましたし、最後も、ツーストライクから、スライダーが、ちょっとストライクゾーンに残ったのを、長打打たれて、全体的にはすごいいいボールも多かったですけど、やっぱりああいう内容では、やっぱりこういいチームには勝てないなっていうのは思うような内容でした。
吉田選手と対戦ありました、3度、
そうですね、
山本選手に上がりました。
はい、
違和感ありました。
そうですね、やっぱり、特にこう、関係性の深い先輩だったので、とにかく意識しないように心がけましたし、思い切り投げて、運よくいいところに行ったので良かったです。
吉田選手との対戦はなんかこう楽しかったとかそういう感じはありますか？
そうですね、ここで対戦できてすごく良かったなっていう気持ちはありますね。はい、
なんかそのことについて昨日とかちょっと話したりとかそういうのは
ちらっとは話しましたけど、そんなに深くも話してないですけど、また明日、挨拶行きたいなと思います。
初球はまっすぐって決めてたんですか？
いや、そういうわけじゃないんですけど、いろんな作戦を考えながらたまたま選ばれました。
結構打たせて取るようなピッチングでしたけど、その辺はやっぱりご自身のプラン通りでいたということで。
そうですね、スプリット、後半どんどん安定していいところ行きましたけど、ちょっと軌道も安定してないところもあったんで、他のボールも調子いいのがいっぱいあったんで、そっちを優先しながらというか、結果的にそうなりました。
まだ報道ベースなんで、あれですけど、スクバル投手、今、移籍市場を騒がしてますけど、印象とか、どういうピッチャーっていうのは。
何度かコミュニケーションを取らせていただいたことがあるんですけど、すごいフレンドリーにコミュニケーションを取ってくださったイメージがありますし、とにかく今一番のピッチャーだと思うので、たくさんいい影響を受けながら僕も必死に頑張りたいなと、思ってます。
もうこういう時期だとトレードでいなくなったりすることもあったと思うんですけど、もうこの環境っていうのはもうある程度慣れたというか。
いや、やっぱりもちろんチームメイトなので寂しさはありますけど、またその選手もまた新しいチームで必要とされていると思いますし、また試合で再会できた時の嬉しさもありますし、いろんな感情には、なりますけど、仕方ないですね。
Breaking news here on SportsCenter. Jeff Passan reporting that the Dodgers finalizing a trade to bring Tarik Skubal from Detroit to the defending champions. 3 players from the Dodgers involved, an outfielder and a couple of pitchers. Of course, the Dodgers have had some issues with starting pitching this season, at least in terms of some of their best starters having pitched very little. But again, the rich do get richer. Take a look at what the Dodgers are bringing in with Tarik Skubal. Their starting pitchers already lead Major League Baseball in both ERA and WHIP, and now they add the back-to-back AL Cy Young winner. LA looking to be the first team to three-peat since the Yankees did it from 1998 to 2000.
Joined now by senior MLB insider Jeff Passan. Jeff, obviously a big deal. We knew that Tarik Skubal, you had talked about potentially getting moved, but how did this deal to the Dodgers get done?
It came together pretty quickly, Maddie, and the Tigers had played better lately. They were hoping to hold on to him, but ultimately the price that the Dodgers were willing to pay was enough to get the 2-time Cy Young Award winner Tarik Skubal. Zaire Hope is a very good outfield prospect, top 50 in Kylie McDaniel's prospects. River Ryan there as well. He's a little bit older and has been through some injuries, but has undeniable talent. And Brady Smith, the third piece going back to the Tigers. At the end of the day, it came down to this. None of the other teams that were involved wanted to give up their top prospect in any trade for a rental player, which Tarik Skubal is, because he's going to be a free agent this offseason. And for the Dodgers, the cost was just better than it was for the Milwaukee Brewers or the Tampa Bay Rays, organizations that need their prospects in order to prosper the way they have.
Well, Jeff, we just talked about what the Dodgers starting rotation has done so far this season in terms of numbers, but I think a lot of people forget Blake Snell has played 1 game. Tyler Glasnow, 7. And if you go to the end of that rotation and get to the bullpen, even Edwin Diaz has only been on 9 games. So I'm not saying the Dodgers needed pitching help, but they kind of needed pitching help. And so for them to go out there and to get Tarik Skubal tells you what about how they see the rest of the season playing out?
You know, there are questions about Shohei Ohtani too, Michael, and about how his knee is going to affect his ability to pitch the rest of the way. Well, guess what? The Dodgers don't need Shohei Ohtani to pitch now. They've got Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who was the World Series hero last year. They've got Justin Wrobleski, who was an all-star this year. Snell's expected back soon. Glasnow going on a rehab assignment. And now you put Tarik Skubal in that rotation. They still have Emmett Sheehan and Roki Sasaki as well. The Dodgers just have an embarrassment of riches of talent, and they already were strong favorites to win the World Series. They will now be overwhelming favorites.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned an embarrassment of riches. They go and add back-to-back AL Cy Young winner Tarik Skubal to this team, having won the last 2 World Series. I mean, I think the casuals would say this all but guarantees a three-peat for this Dodgers team. What do you say to that thinking, and what do you say to what this means about the direction that Major League Baseball is headed?
Baseball, Maddie, is a very funny sport, and sometimes the most talented team does not win. And I think that's what we're dealing with here with the Dodgers. It's going to be them against the field. And can anyone do what San Diego has done? Can anyone do what Arizona's done and oust the Dodgers from a postseason series? It's going to be tough for any team, because when you're facing Skubal and Yamamoto at the front of a rotation, and you've got another 2-time Cy Young winner and Blake Snell backing them up, and beyond that, whether it's Wrobleski, Glasnow, whoever it may be, the Dodgers are going to have a starting pitching advantage in every series that they're in, even if they were to face Philadelphia, which has Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo at the top of the rotation. And beyond that, they've still got Shohei Ohtani, who's the best player in the world, as well as Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and all the other cast of characters who have contributed to the last 2 World Series. As far as everything else goes in baseball, the collective bargaining agreement expires on December 1st. And there's already been plenty of rhetoric about what the Dodgers have done in building this dynastic roster that it has. This is only going to exacerbate that, and all eyes will be on the Dodgers this October.
Well, Jeff, now that Skubal is headed to L.A., obviously he was the big domino to fall in this trade market before the deadline coming up on Monday. How do you think this impacts the rest of the moves that should play out behind him?
I don't know if the Dodgers have anything else to do, frankly, but I think what this does is it puts the impetus on the rest of the contending teams to go out and improve themselves as much as possible and give themselves the best shot they can get. There will be teams that say, we cannot beat this Dodgers team, and maybe pump the brakes a little bit. But if you're the Milwaukee Brewers at this point, there has to be some kind of a rejoinder, because as good as they have been this year, as dominant as Jacob Mizorowski has looked at the front of that rotation, they are still eons behind the Dodgers when it comes to just overall talent, and that can be said for every team in baseball.
We now welcome in Eduardo Perez for more. Eduardo, first of all, what was your initial reaction when you heard this news?
Oh, when you just saw my facial reaction, wow. This is a huge move. Now, a lot of people were expecting this move, and I get it. I understand the arm that Tarik Skubal has. I understand the possibilities that come with it. But to be able to trade him to the Dodgers, a team that not only could definitely use him because of all the injuries that they've had, but at the same time, what it does to block other teams that were really interested in Tarik Skubal as well, like the Milwaukee Brewers, who have played really great baseball this year, and all of a sudden you are trading him to a team that, as the Dodgers are thinking, it's not only that we can use him as a number 2, maybe even number 1, obviously, but also it just makes everybody else weaker that we're going to have to face to possibly get to the World Series. A tough task that is, but the Dodgers are looking to three-peat, and this is their best way of doing it.
And that's a really good point. Not only do they add something, but they keep maybe their closest contenders from having something. So to that point, Eduardo, what else can some of these other teams possibly do to even match the arsenal that the Dodgers have going into the postseason?
Well, you go with depth. right? You look at the Milwaukee Brewers, second best record in the National League, a team that has done really well and is really not slugged. Yet they win because they play really good defense, because they throw strikes, and they were hoping to have a complimentary piece to Jacob Misiorowski, and they were hoping that it was going to be this guy right here. Now, it wasn't just the Milwaukee Brewers. It was a lot of teams in and out of the division and in and out of the league. So for the Dodgers, the rich get richer. And not only that, it's not like they lost a top prospect or a major league player that has a lot of time in their hands to get Tarik Skubal, a rental player. They didn't have to give up their top prospects. And I think that's huge as well, to be able to do that and still have that impact of like, we are going for it. And this is Andrew Friedman at his best. He's trying to repeat, and he's trying to three-peat, better said. To make this possible, you're going to need a Tarik Skubal on your roster. And this is the best way and the quickest way to doing it before that trade deadline that we're going to eventually have here, covering it on ESPN as well.
Right. And Eduardo, I mean, you mentioned the rich get richer. The Dodgers are looking at a potential postseason playoff rotation of Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tarik Skubal, Blake Snell, and Shohei Ohtani, the back-to-back World Series champions, looking to three-peat right here. What does this say about the way that this league is going and the Dodgers' chances to really build a dynasty here?
Look, I remember having a conversation a few years back with Andrew Friedman, and the conversation was simple. It was, okay, I want to have the best right fielder possible. At that time, it was Mookie Betts. They landed him. I want to be able to have the best possible player at a certain position in that time. They landed Freddie Freeman because of the trade that the Atlanta Braves made to get Matt Olson. Freddie goes back home to Southern Cal and gets that position. They want to be able to land an outfielder again because now Mookie's playing shortstop. So what are we going to do? We're going to go out and get Mr. Tucker from the Astros in free agency, and they did. They paid heavy for him. Has Kyle Tucker done what he was supposed to do? Not yet, but it's still early for the Dodgers because they play October baseball. This is something that the team knows. Now with all the injuries and with the availability to be able to go and get the best arm possible in the trade deadline, they didn't wait until the last minute. They didn't wait until somebody else overwhelmed the Detroit Tigers. Andrew Friedman went out and he got the guy that he thinks and he believes could help them three-peat. And it's always that extra umph, that extra player that they do need. Remember, last year when the Dodgers won it all, it wasn't the superstar players. It was Rojas. It was Kike Hernandez. It was Pages in the outfield making a great play. It was a home run from Rojas. So they need a complimentary guy to be able to win and keep away a guy that could have hurt them reaching that possible destination that they're trying to get to, and that's the World Series.
Ed, I wanted to ask you something from the Tigers' perspective, because the deadline's not till Monday at 3 o'clock. I mean, we're here until, Saturday evening right now. There's a lot of time between now and Monday, and you would think as you get closer to that deadline, you would have more and more leverage. What do you make of the timing of when the Tigers said, you know what, yes, that's the deal we want it now?
It's interesting because I've had this conversation in the past with Jeff Passan, with Buster Olney, with Kylie McDaniel, with Tim Kirchin in the past. And what is interesting, and with a lot of scouts, what is interesting is what we have maybe on our board, and let's say it's the Detroit Tigers as the top prospects that each organization is offering, compared to what they think and compared to what Fangraphs thinks and compared to what other organizations think. They feel that these three players were going to be enough to get Tarik Skubal. Now, I'll say this, and there are going to be a lot of people that are going to say, if you would have traded him in the offseason, you would have probably gotten more if you would have traded him the last offseason. They didn't do that. They kept him. And now is this the best that they can get, knowing that you could have had maybe a little bit more leverage 24 hours from now? We don't know. But what we do know is that they did have conversations with a lot of teams, that they weighed what they had, and they most likely checked back with the teams that they thought, look, if we can get this piece, you're in. If they said no, then the Dodgers and Andrew Friedman ended up getting the jackpot with the three players that they sacrificed to be able to get the Tarik Skubal.
So again, an offer is only as good as when you have it, and the Tigers felt like this was the offer they needed at that moment to send Tarik Skubal to the Dodgers. Eduardo Perez, appreciate the perspective.
La La Land.